Hola, hola chicos, espero que estén bien y que hayan tenido un maravilloso día. En este video vamos a hablar sobre los pronombres reflexivos y el presente indicativo de los verbos reflexivos, los cuales pertenecen a la estructura uno de este capítulo 5 y lo pueden encontrar en la página 154 y 155 de su libro. Um, So the reflexive pronouns, vamos a hablar sobre los pronombres reflexivos. Here we have them listed. So the reflexive pronouns in Spanish are me, te, se, nos, os, and se. And each pronoun corresponds to a different subject. As you can see, me, te, se, nos, os, and se, they correspond to its own subject. Me corresponds to yo, te corresponds to tú, se corresponds to él, ella, or usted, and so on. Okay, so to say that people do something to or for themselves, you're going to use reflexive verbs. So, for example, washing one's hands and brushing one's hair are reflexive actions because the person doing the action also received the action of the verb. Okay, so as you can see, an example here, antes de una cita, yo me ducho, or you could say me ducho, y me arreglo el pelo. Me ducho obviously is an action that you are performing upon yourself. Me ducho is I shower myself, me arreglo el pelo, I fix my own hair. So that's what we're going to talk about today on the Estructura uno en la página 154 y 155 del capítulo 5. Perfect. So reflexive pronouns and present tense of reflexive verbs. So a reflexive constructions consist of a reflexive pronoun and a verb. In English, reflexive pronouns end in self or selves. For example, myself, yourself, ourselves. In Spanish, reflexive pronouns are used with verbs, called reflexive verbs, that reflect the action back to the subject of a sentence, like I said before, meaning that the subject of the verb also receives the action of the verb. In the following example, notice how Juan Carlos is both the subject and the recipient of the action of getting himself up. So, for example, here you see the subject, which is Juan Carlos, se, which is the reflexive pronoun, the verb will be levanta, conjugated to Juan Carlos, since Juan Carlos is the one controlling the verb, and a las ocho, which is the time. Juan Carlos gets himself up at 8. Now, conjugating reflexive contractions. Reflexive verbs are identified by the pronoun se, which is attached to the end of an infinitive form of the verb. So, to conjugate these verbs, you're going to use a reflexive pronoun, me, for example, which is corresponding verb form, which is levanto, which is a corresponding, which is the subject, the first person controlling the verb, according to the subject of the sentence, which is yo. Now, reflexive infinitive, levantarse, to get up, will be me levanto or yo me levanto. Now, some example of all the subjects is yo me levanto, tú te levantas, usted, él, ella se levanta, and etc. Okay. Now, know that when a reflexive verb is used with a verb, with a part of the body or with an item of clothing, a definite article like el, la, los, and las precedes the noun. For example, Juan Carlos se cepilla los dientes. Juan Carlos brushes his teeth. Or Tomás va a levantarse el cabello. Tomás is going to wash his hair. Now, something very important that we need to talk about is placing reflexive pronouns. You're gonna place the pronoun in front of a conjugated verb. Now, there's a few places where you can actually place the reflexive pronouns. Now, you can place the reflexive pronoun in front of a conjugated verb. Don't forget that, in front of a conjugated verb. Juan Carlos se levanta a las ocho. Juan Carlos gets up at 8. Now, when a reflexive verb is used as an infinitive or as a present participle, you're going to place the pronoun either before the conjugated verb, if there are two or more verbs used together, of course, or attach it to the infinitive of the or to the present participle. So, for example, Sara se va a levantar pronto. As you can see, the reflexes is placed before the conjugated verb. Or you could say Sara va a levantarse pronto. Sara se está levantando ahora. Or Sara está levantándose ahora. Now, when a reflexive pronoun is attached to a present participle, levantándose, you have to make sure that you add an accent mark to maintain the correct stress. Now, let's talk about reflexive versus non-reflexive verb. When the action is performed on another person, as indicated by the addition of the person or of the personal a before mi mamá, a reflexive pronoun is not used. Let's compare these two examples right here. Me despierto a las 8. I wake up at 8 o'clock. Now I need a reflex there because I'm performing an action upon myself. I am the one waking myself up. So me despierto a las 8. Now, if I wake my mother up, I'm not performing the action upon myself. Therefore, I do not need a reflexive. All I need is the personal a. Despierto a mi mamá a las 8. Now, some verbos reflexivos de la rutina diaria y personal are as follow. Acostarse, which is a stem changing verb. Um, to go to bed, afeitarse, to shave, bañarse, to take a bath, cepillarse los dientes, to brush one's teeth, cuidarse, to take care oneself, despertarse, to wake up, which is another stem changing verb, dormirse, to fall asleep, another stem changing verb, ducharse, to take a shower, levantarse, to wash up, and levantarse, to get up, etc. So now that we talked about the reflexive pronouns and also the present tense of reflex pronoun, let's try to do an activity here. Okay? So por la mañana o por la noche, during the morning or during the night, or during both times, we could say. So aquí vamos a copiar un diagrama. Obviamente no estamos en la clase y no lo podemos hacer juntos, pero ya vamos a hablar sobre los pronombres y los verbos reflexivos y vamos a hacer esta actividad juntos. Yo voy a contestar las primeras tres y luego quiero que ustedes terminen las últimas cinco. ¿Ok? So, la primera, me despierto. Bueno, me despierto por la mañana. Número dos, me levanto. Me levanto por la mañana. Número tres, me baño. Me baño por la mañana y me baño por la noche. Okay. So now, guys, I would like you guys to finish up the last five, if you guys don't mind. Try to place when do you do this activity, or when do you um, wake up or shower or do these actions accordingly. Okay. If you do it in the morning, por la mañana, o si la haces por la noche, during the nighttime. Okay. Well, um, thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day. If you guys have any question or concern, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to, um, answer any concerns that you guys may have. Okay, you guys have a good one. Thank you for listening.